Alright, y'all. Last video we did 10 tropes I hate. Now we're gonna be doing 10 tropes I love. These are tropes that if I hear someone talking about a book and in their summary or their description of the book, they say these 10 tropes or buzzwords or whatever, I'm instantly intrigued by that book and I want to read it. So, in no particular order, I'm going to be going through my 10 favorite tropes, and I'll also be giving you examples of books on my shelves that have these tropes. So it's a little bit of a tropes recommendations video as well. This may count as minor spoilers, but most of these tropes don't have to do with like the ending of a book. So in my opinion, I don't think they're spoilers, but watch this video at your own risk. Starting off with a bang, and maybe I'm one of the only people who still likes this trope, but I actually enjoy love triangles. Specifically love triangles where the triangle is equal. So as in the main character and their two love interests have equal stake. So like if it's a guy and two girls, the guy likes each girl equally, so you really don't know who the main character is going to end up with. I think the reason people don't like love triangles is because they feel like the author is just adding another love interest to add drama when it doesn't feel natural. Like, you can tell the author is picking one love interest over another. Like, you can tell sometimes if a love triangle is done badly, but I think if a love triangle is done well, where the main character is truly like confused and truly loves or likes both of the love interests, I think that can add a really interesting character dynamic to a story. I don't know. So when people say, oh, this has a love triangle in it, I'm like, but is it good? Like, I'm kind of interested. Is anyone else still interested in love triangles? So an example of a book that has a love triangle in it that I actually root for both of the love interests is actually Fruits Basket. This is a manga series that I love, and our main character Toru is in love with two guys, and both of the guys are different in their own way, but she likes them both kind of the same, and she actually struggles with like kind of who to pick. And they both like her in different ways. So I think it's done really well, in my opinion. I will say I am less interested in love triangles as an adult, because now I'm like, well, why don't they all just be together as a triad? Why do we have to pick? You could just be with both of them and have an open relationship. What's wrong with that? Number 2 is a pretty easy one, and it's I love bookish or nerdy characters. I feel like a lot of readers enjoy reading characters that are nerdy or like books. And I've got 2 quick examples right here. We've got Lyriel from Lyriel by Garth Nix. Lyriel is a librarian. You can't get much more bookish or nerdy than that. And we also have Chloe from Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Chloe is a programmer nerd, but she also plays a lot of video games. And as a person who also loves video games, that was really awesome to see in Chloe Brown, and I connected with her quite a bit because of that. So those are just 2 characters off the top of my head that I think are a little bit nerdy and a little bit bookish. This 3rd one might be my favorite. I love cross-dressing heroines a lot. So think of Mulan. So whenever like Mulan had to dress as a boy to join the army, and then, you know, she's kind of in love with Shang, and Shang is kind of in love with her, but she's a girl all along, you know? I eat that trope up. I absolutely love the Mulan trope. And a couple examples that use this trope are Mulan, the movie, but Alana dresses as a boy to train to be a knight. Tess of the Road, Tess dresses as a boy so she can wander the countryside without being harassed, which is not great, but I love this book for that. You know, she has to blend in and be safe, so she dresses as a boy. Another example of the Mulan trope is Walk on Earth, a Stranger by Ray Carson. I don't actually own a physical copy of it, but I do have an audiobook of this, and this is about a girl who dresses as a boy to travel west during the gold rush, and so she is on a wagon team, and she's dressed as a boy, and you know, there's another boy and she's kind of into him, but you know, she's dressed as a girl. I just eat it up. Give me all of the books with the Mulan trope. I love it so much. Another trope that I really, really love is enemies to lovers or friends to lovers. I kind of lump these together in my brain, but let me know if you think that they're completely different. But an example of an enemies to lovers is Red, White, and Royal Blue. Alex hates the prince in the beginning, and quickly realizes that his hate is actually kind of obsession, because he's actually kind of into him. So I don't think they're actually enemies. This is like animosity to lovers. So I don't think they're true enemies. But another example of enemies to lovers, I would say Fire. So in this book, Fire is half monster, half human, and her love interest, Briggan, was directly impacted by Fire's monstrous father. So when Briggan and Fire first meet, he slams her into a wall and hurts her, and he threatens her pretty violently, and he's like, I hate you and you're just like your father and blah blah blah. So like, it was a really intense scene. So I would say, and Fire is afraid of him. But at the end of the scene, Fire storms off. You know, Briggan realizes he hurt her, and Fire says, I'm not the monster, Briggan, you are. And I'm like, yeah. But eventually, over time, Briggan and Fire get to know each other, and they have a really slow build up from enemies to friends. And they're friends for a long time, and then they're lovers at the very end of the book. And it's just, I think it's really well done, in my opinion. Obviously, with an opening like that, that might, you know, steer people clear from this romance in here, but I think it's done really well, in my opinion. Okay, this trope is a little bit different. So remember in my last video, in my 10 tropes that I hate video, I talk about the hidden royal, the secret royal, or like the runaway royal. Those are, you know, those types of characters I'm kind of tired of seeing, but the type of royal I want to read about is the unprepared royal. Okay, stick with me. So this is like the youngest sibling of the royal family who was like never supposed to be king or queen, or is never supposed to be married off. They were just like the spare, you know what I mean? Like the heir and the spare. So like they're the spare, and they just are running around living their life, and something happens where they are thrust into power instead of the heir. You know what I mean? So an example of this is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. Karina is the youngest daughter, and her older sister was training her entire life to be queen, but there was a terrible accident and Karina's sister was killed in that accident. And so Karina, and that happens even before the book starts, so it's not a spoiler. So Karina is trying to, suddenly she has to prepare to be queen someday, and she feels really unprepared for it, and she was never supposed to be queen. And I think that that is a much more interesting royal story than the other tropes I'm talking about. Another example is Warbreak. Okay, so Ciri is the youngest child and Vivenna is the oldest, and Vivenna has been training her entire life to wed the God King. And at the last second, their father decides, instead of sending Vivenna, he's gonna send Ciri. So Ciri is thrust into a political marriage with the God King with literally no preparation. So she is trying to wrangle her political situation and figure out what's going on and how to be a royal when she was never supposed to be in that position. So these two books have a similar character dynamic. One is a young adult fantasy and this is an adult fantasy. I love the unprepared royal. Number 6 is forbidden romance. This is in so many books. This is the Romeo and Juliet of tropes. You've got the Capulets and the Montagues, and you've got one person from each side that fall in love and they're not supposed to be in love. But honestly, this is a really good dynamic to have as a point of tension in your story. It works. I think it works way better than something like miscommunication. If there's a real tangible reason why your characters can't be together, I think that that's much more realistic and much more interesting than miscommunication or something like that. So a couple examples. This is how you lose the time war. Red and blue are on opposite sides of the time war. An Ember in the Ashes. Laia and Elias. Laia is a slave and Elias is part of the ruling elite. Can't really be together. I'll pull this one out. Daughter of Smoke and Bone. That's okay. This is kind of a spoiler for Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Okay, the two characters in this book are on opposite sides of a war from each other, and I could list off way more, but when there are actual reasons why the two characters can't be together, that's what I like as a character dynamic that adds real tension and drama to a romance. Number 7, I have so many examples for. I feel a little embarrassed, but I love reading about messy, angry, powerful women. Like the unlikable women. I love them. I love reading about them. Give me all of the angry, messy, effed up ladies. I'm here for it. So let me just start pulling books. So we've got Aesoon from the 5th season, Rin, the Poppy War, Dana from Kindred, Spensa from Skyward, a very angry, messy teenager. Love that even more. And then we've got Evelyn Hugo from the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. She does some pretty bad things to get what she wants. And I love her. And also, here's another young adult example. Clariel by Garth Nix. She's pretty bad. She's pretty angry, pretty messy. Love it. 8. I love gentle, genuine, soft men. So the reverse of my last trope that I love when men are just lovely. And of course, Linus Baker from The House on the Cerulean Sea. You know he was gonna be on here. Linus is so sweet and genuine and soft, but he's not soft-spoken. He knows when to stand his ground at the same time. I love Linus. But another example is Michael from The Kiss Quotient. I think Michael is such a sweet guy. He's so good to Stella and his sisters and his mom. I think Michael is a really good example of just a really nice guy. Maybe it's because there aren't that many nice guys in the real world that I need my fantasy nice guys. That I need my nice guys to come out in my reads. Number 9 is talking animal companions in general, and talking AIs or ships. I kind of lump these all together. They always add some comedic relief, but also sometimes the most hard-hitting emotional scenes are with these types of characters, and I absolutely love them. Basically, any Tamara Pierce book that you pick up, her female leads have some kind of animal companion, talking animal sidekick. So Alana, Kel, Dane, Allie, they all have animal sidekicks. We've also got Sabriel and Lyriel. Sabriel has a talking cat named Mugget, and Lyriel has the dog, the disreputable dog who can talk. Love them to death. As far as AI characters, we've got the ship from Skyward who can talk. Love the ship from Skyward. He's great. Also in Becky Chambers' books, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and A Closed and Common Orbit have AI characters in them. Absolutely love those. And then we also have Happiness for Humans, which has several sentient AI characters, and I love them all. Give me more. I would like more, specifically in sci-fi, so like more AIs that can talk and are sentient. Love them. Give me all your recommendations below. Number 10. Now, and this isn't my like least favorite or my most favorite, this is just the last one I have for today's video, are hard-hitting stories with young characters. So these aren't necessarily middle grade books, but these can be like adult or young adult books that just have younger characters that are super emotionally hard-hitting. So for example, A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I don't know if I would read this to my child. It is about Connor, whose mom is dying of cancer, and a monster visits him and tells him stories at night. And it made me ugly cry. There's a movie on Netflix, which is a pretty good representation of the book, if you're interested, but it is a gut punch as an adult, as a young adult. It just really hits you in the feels. And then another example is Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. This has a teenage main character. I think Jam is 16, but I think she goes through, her society is very innocent. So it reads a little bit younger because of this like innocence that we're breaking throughout the course of this book. And of course, The House in the Cerulean Sea. This is an adult fantasy, but again, it reads a little bit younger because there are a lot of children in the book, and Linus's innocence is broken throughout the course of this book, and it hits you super duper hard as an adult. And I love those types of stories. So again, I don't have a ton of those types of books. So I guess adult or young adult books that have hard-hitting themes of childhood innocence, going away, growing up, those types of things. Oh, they really hurt, but they hurt so good at the same time. Thank you so much for watching. Those were all of the 10 tropes / story elements that I love in my books. So again, thank you so much for watching. The sun is coming out on this side, as you can see. Got a natural glow. And I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye!